Anna Bergstrom had a conundrum. She favored the shiny planet of top vogue, but had as well go to sense how it was unstable and bad for the earth. She's now found world of reason by fleeing a trendy trading mall in Sweden, wherever all is other hand. Do you note the odor? Anna Bergstrom says, as she surveys her mall of the attic standard. It smells pleasant there, doesn't it? It's really essential to Anna how the location is tempting, since she feels it is manufacturing a declaration. All for selling there, in 14 expert shops, cover all of clothing to DIY toolkit, is processed. She is normally rotated off by the odor of other hand store, she explains, although she adores branded Vogue. For largest human beings block markets and mercy shops conduct a stigmatization, she thinks, a mark leftward by innumerable bad experiences. Too frequently they are decent but sad, Anna says. Her mission statement is to give other hand trading in the main. The mall himself is roomy and attractive, nearly IKEA-like. An art install, a wood and offering circular seat all molded of processed material, greets customers at the entry. Down there is though a coffee store and souvenir wrapping facility. The mall is named Retuna. Tuna fish since house the moniker for the town wherever it is relying, Eskilstuna, and times boat train travel western of Stockholm, and D since the consumer goods on selling include been processed or repurposed. It was set up by Eskilstuna's regional by the government in 2015, in a storage that utilized to building trucks for a logistic business. The shops within it are run as business community quite rather than charities, and every pays a combination accusation of lease and industry rates. Anna Bergstrom's industry prayer that she repetition to every tradesman is, do it love Hugo Lug. She wants the mall to stay toe-to-toe in a routine, business, shiny mall. Down there is a sports store filled in skis and, lightly worn, sledges, a guy's store rupture in toys, a slight passe, a bookstore, a DIY keep, a homeware expert, though a pet auxiliary store. As before loved items for selling, down there are as well lot how include been UPC cleed. These are undesirable items how include been undertaken separately and rotated in new objects. In a keep how specializes in hand domestic ornaments, Bergstrom is acute to show off a pleasant sample of one of her celebrity tenants. Tradesman Maria Larsson majestically shows off her top-selling food, a canister how resembles the flesh of a pine tree conical. Every sector of its leather has been cut of skin jackets, UPC cling in activity. Yet, Maria confesses to creature a slight concerned. She is fighting to hold up in client consumer demand for the style since she can't get quite jackets. The makes more than feeling one day you know Retuna's position. Its order following to Eskilstuna's recirculation center, that is as well run by the municipal government. A stable flow of cars passes via it, earning paperboard, mattresses and some common undesirable domestic items. But lot of these cars go history the metal skips and later chief downward a footlights to a way how rest order following to the mall. Their original inhabitants fall off their undesirable domestic things if down there is a opportunity they can be resold or UPC cleed. In a extensive region under the mall, a little troop of workers in fluorescence jackets sifts via the grant, transport them to nominated zones. Each day the shopkeepers can go downward and check which has arriving, guys' toys, domestic technique, horticulture machinery, maybe though a skin coat. The is which they urge their jewel, says Anna. Their industry lease gives them privileged accessing to it. Shopkeepers occasionally hover about the cellar to see at which is upcoming into their zones. On a telephone call these human beings peekers and gives them a expressive off, since they are intended to expect for set times to check their specified stockpile. Lot of the shopkeepers will go to unofficial institutional arrangement in one else. So if the clothing store knows how Larsson wants skin jackets for UPC cling, they will undergo on any how are too corrupt to be desold. Any items how are undesirable by all the shopkeepers go to the recirculation center following doorway. Thou view, says Anna, the is why I occasionally jest how the is the top Vogue garbage trading mall. She thinks her desire for ethics, stable trading goes behind to her parenting in her hippie parents. She was unborn in a community, although her household excited out to the rural area to conduct a easy lifetime while she was 3-year ancient. Her parents discarded materialism in all its forms and tested to defend her of it. She wasn't permitted Barbie dolls or any toys at all at Yuletide, she recalls. But as she grew up she reacted versus the "everyone has to be their own punk rock coup," she says evasively. In reality, she ended up forge a career in the temples of contemporary materialism, trading centers. She began by installation up retailer shops, later ran 2 business malls in the Stockholm region. It was just while she had family, 4 persons daughters, how she began to include doubts. She took on a year's motherhood keep for every kid, that gave her period to represent. Maybe parent intuition restored in her several of the values instilled by her parents, she thinks. As her daughters grew, so too did her doubts on the planet she'd driven them in, and its disposable civilization. She monitored them be tempted, as younger generation, by a contemporary type of materialism. Their lives became profiled by big brands, assigned by influencers on public print, says Anna. They became regulated by everything the Kardashians were making on Fact TV or Instagram, she says in a color of terror, upbreak in a smiling. In despair, she cut her daughters' pouch cash so they couldn't buy the newest clothing, but proposed to pay for other-hand ones instead of, inbounded successful. She implemented she had to do thing more than, so the prospect for a job at the Rituna Mall 3 year back, as its at first officer, came at the ultimate period for her. I implemented how I necessary to be a part pattern for my family, making thing nice for the earth, says Anna. She telephone call the mall my infant, and wants it to be a location her youthful family are proud to trip. And they do trip. Although she hasn't convinced them to tag it as a position on an Instagram position yet, she's work on how. Anna's greater expect is how which plant for her household can job for Swedish community as a entire. Swedes loving the conception of residing steadily and making things for the earth, but down there is a space while it comes to activity, she says. Anna thinks her mall can axle the space. And down there is testimony the maybe event. Turnover are slow growing year on year. With Discovery, the mall has sold out pound cost of means and recent year it brought 700 visitors per date. If you can include a fashionable, trendy way to do stable residing, says Anna, I believe main customers can pursue how, in top heels. You can get a see about the mall in the live video.